But perhaps the point is still not clear. In order to illustrate these ideas in more depth, let us conceive of a thought experiment. Standing upon a hill, 3 archers meet. A target lies through a small valley which is exceptionally far away and under high winds. Within the experiences of all 3 who are present, it is unprecedented that such a target can be reached, especially under such poor conditions. With this, the 3 set upon a discussion of the challenge. The first says, "The target is unreachable. I have fired many arrows in my day, and I have never seen a person achieve such a task." The second says, "I am certain that it will be no challenge at all to reach the target, because we are every day achieving greater and greater feats. Surely it will be no difficulty if we aid the natural procession towards success." The third says, however, "I do not know whether it is reachable or not, but I will do what is necessary to achieve it." What none of these archers know is that only an expert will ever hit the mark, and they will only ever do so 1 out of 10,000 times. The pessimistic archer spends the first few days training, but endeavors only toward the task of firing his bow. "It's no use wasting my time working to achieve a greater expertise to hit the target. It's not achievable. I merely continue firing my arrows for the joy of archery. I know that I will not achieve such an impossible task, but I'm invigorated by the attempt." The optimist archer tries for quite some time, firing their arrows only lazily, failing time and time again, and confused by it. "I do not know why I can't reach the target. I continue attempting, and I'm certain that such a target will be reachable if only I allow the process to play out, but I nonetheless continue to fail." Meanwhile, the last archer goes to work immediately improving their aim. They set their eye upon the task without conceiving whether they will achieve the goal or not. The hopeful realist, instead, merely asks what better training might be necessary if there is some world wherein they might hit the mark. "I do not know whether it is reachable or not, but I will do what is necessary to achieve it." The winds blow their arrows about, and they fail to meet the mark, but they come closer than the others before long. Soon, the pessimistic archer gives up. The pleasure has dried up, and thus motivation has ceased. "This isn't achievable, as I said. I think I'll go focus upon goals that are more realistic, such as the targets in the archery range back in the village. I bid you both to continue this hopeless task." The optimist stays, but just the same as before, they come to the fore and they fire their arrows, but they do not endeavor to properly improve their aim as is needed. They say to the third archer, "I still can't seem to reach the target, even though I don't understand why. I know that one must merely become an archer and try again and again, and the task we desire shall be fulfilled. But I just can't seem to make any progress." Meanwhile, the last archer continues improving their archery, achieving mastery as they strive for an exceptional goal. The optimist returns again and again, never reaching closer to the mark, never conceiving what is necessary to succeed, while the archer who hopes fires their arrows endlessly, approaching the goal more and more. As they do, over the course of weeks, the hopeful realist begins to find that, even with this mastery, the task is exceedingly difficult. Indeed, having attained expertise, as we have said, they must continue firing arrows for an average of 10,000 times before one shall meet the mark. But none of these 3 know such a thing. The task appears only repetitive and infuriating. The only certainty appears to be failure. Over this long, suffering process, the optimist gives up firing arrows. After all, if all things are guaranteed to get better, why must they be the one who endeavors? They look to the last archer, whose skill is much greater, and pat them on the back as they leave. I will see you back at the archery range. In this moment, the hopeful archer experiences despair. They stand alone before a windswept valley, filled with arrows which have failed to meet their mark. The rose-tinted naivety of the optimist was wrong, and the defeatism of the pessimist appears to foreclose failure in this Sisyphean task. For a moment, they consider that perhaps the pessimist is right. They entertain that their goal may be truly unachievable. But they are reminded of their own creed. I do not know whether it is reachable or not, but I will do what is necessary to achieve it. And it is only in the last archer's rejection of defeatism that they fire those 10,000 arrows. One after another, arrows leave their bow and land short or long, or left or right of the target. The wind blows them about, and the hopeful realist accounts for the wind astutely as best they can. Its torrential gusts constantly confounding their master. However, eventually, sailing through the air as so many had before, the winds blowing in some fortuitous way, and the hopeful archer's mastery having become exceptional, the arrow lands upon the target. Only this hopeful realist, who set their lofty goal and adjusted their actions to its dictates, had any chance of achieving the task. Upon the hilltop, this last archer stands alone, having endeavored 100 times as much as the pessimist and the optimist to achieve it, and having attained a mastery far beyond anything they could conceive because of it. Revolution requires both our expertise and the confluence of the great circumstances of history. To achieve such a challenging goal, we will need to train ourselves to mastery in confounding the mega machine and bringing more people to the fore, ingraining within them a realistically grounded hope, such that one of our many attempts may meet the mark. If we cannot conceive of our future in such a way wherein some hope may always be kindled, we will only ever achieve an aimless and unskilled flailing. Hope is not a luxury. It is a prerequisite of successful struggle. If we cannot stoke the dream of a better future, we cannot make it. As Kropotkin says in his work Law and Authority, it may be said that the more miserable a man is, the more he dreads every sort of change, lest it may make him more wretched still. Some ray of hope, a few scraps of comfort, must penetrate his gloomy abode before he can begin to desire better things, to criticize the old ways of living, and to prepare to imperil them for the sake of bringing about a change. So long as he is not imbued with hope, so long as he is not freed from the tutelage of those who utilize his superstition and his fears, he prefers remaining in his former position.